So, very good morning to all the participants. I'm indeed glad that you all could make it, and there are many more to join as well. So, I hope they join in between as well. So, a very warm welcome to KIHT JBI Global Solution Room 2023. It's an extraordinary event that brings together healthcare professionals, researchers, and innovators all across the globe. And we have gathered here under the theme Innovations and Evidence Based Practice, Bridging the Gap for Better Outcomes. So I'm honored to be your host for today's event. My name is Grishma, and I'll be guiding you through this insightful and thought provoking journey. So, throughout history, healthcare has constantly evolved in all the advancements in techniques, technologies, and has always been driven by a shared goal of improving the well being of individuals and communities. So, today we stand at the forefront of a new era. One where innovation and evidence-based practice goes hand in hand, and definitely evidence-based practice holds the key to unlocking better healthcare outcomes. So we aim to, through JBI Global Solution Room, to provide a platform for all the healthcare professionals, the researchers, the innovators, and the policy makers to explore groundbreaking solutions that can bridge the gap between innovation and evidence-based practice. So, over the course of the day, we have eminent and renowned speakers, experts, and presenters who will enlighten us with their knowledge, experiences, and insights. We will have interactive sessions, innovative demonstrations, and engaging discussions. So webinars are mostly, about passive hearing and everything, but I would encourage everyone to keep it interactive, keep the chat box busy, and enjoy this event to the fullest. Without further ado, let us embark on this knowledgeable journey of discovery, collaboration, and inspiration. May this day be filled with fruitful discussions, and I hope everyone goes back with those key points to remember for the future collaborations and developments. Let us now have, let us now start with the first session of today's program. I would like to welcome Dr. Kavita Kachru, Chief Operating Officer at Kalam Institute of Health Technology. She has more than 15 years of experience in HEOR, Health Economics Outcome Research. And she has been part of this time for a while now. She will now take us through a journey of Kalam Institute's achievements and how they continue to shape the future of healthcare through innovation and evidence-based healthcare practices. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Grishma, and good morning. A warm welcome, everyone. So I'll start with sharing my screen. So as you can see, today we are talking about global evidence and local solutions. So the discussion is all about a solution room based on this theme. And I would like to introduce you all to with Kalam Institute of Health Technology, which is also a JBI affiliated group. So first I will introduce what we are and what all things we do, what all we practice, and what is the meaning of this seminar, why are we hosting this JBI gLocal Solution Room, what is the importance of this event. So I'll start with a brief introduction of our institute named as Kalam Institute of Health Technology. So Kalam Institute of Health Technology has been set in the name and honor of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, one of its kind globally. It is a Department of India project supported by Department of Biotechnology. It draws its credibility from the fact that Kalam Institute itself is housed in Andhra Pradesh MedTech Zone, Visakhapatnam, which is the world's largest medical device research, development and manufacturing cluster. So as we all know, we it's like different organizations have different mandates, and when researchers do some research, they do in a logged environment, because researchers they design a research question and then conduct a study in their own ecosystem. But as over a period of time, we have seen there is a evident gap between research and practice. The research which is published that doesn't reach on ground, and on ground problems does not reach to researchers to research, to work on, and to give a solution which can again be applied, on ground, tested. We can test that, results of the study, if there, if any modification is needed, and many more things. So there is an evident gap in the society, research and practice. So KIHT acts as a bridge to bridge this gap between research and practice, leading to a very unique combination in itself. Because we, as I already explained you all, we are housed in an ecosystem where we have everything. We have industry partners, we have academicians, we have clinical practitioners. It is a holistic ecosystem where engineers, doctors, technicians, academicians, they all work together, and we can learn from each other's, there's a lot of cross learning, there is a lot of implementation. So that is how Kalam Institute of Health Technology is a very strategic institute which is helping the entire country to to evidence translation. That's what we are talking today. So again, I will just quickly and briefly explain you all the different departments, different pillars of Kalam Institute of Health Technology. So we have around 10 pillars, and all these pillars are feeding information to different ministries of government of India. So for example, we have Center for Health Technology Assessment. This department works for Department of Health Research, ICMR. Center for Health Innovation, this department is a WHO collaborating center for health innovations, feeding all the work and analysis to WHO, where we further debate, discuss, and develop solution guides, drafts, guidelines for other countries, so that the solutions which are effective in one country can be replicated across the globe. Then price monitoring and resource unit. This is a unit which works for National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority, where we are doing drug audits and quality audits and lot many things. Center for Research and Development is a institute where we work for JBI, and we do lots of secondary research and give inputs, develop drafts, and submit them to JBI for publication, and evidence generation, evidence translation, evidence transfer, and lot many things we do under this center. Another center is Center for Excellence for Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India. Again, we do lots of electronic research. So when we are developing many medical devices, we need components, we need research on, electronic part of that device. So everything goes into this department, and this feeds the information further to Ministry of Electronics. Then Center for Technology Transfer and Center for Market Intelligence and Trade. We do lots of analysis. We develop reports. Some reports are there freely available on our website. For example, Global Import and Export Analysis, which feeds into Department of Commerce, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Now, since we have all these departments, a center for certification is also needed, which certifies different organizations, different medical devices. So that dedicated quality assurance and services center is Center for Certification Services. This is just a brief overview, and how diverse we are, how we are helping our country in different domains. So this is just a brief overview, so that you get a glimpse of how huge and how immensely we are contributing to the growth of our country. Now, as we are talking today for gLocal solution room, global evidence and local discussions, I would like to mm, run you run you all through a beautiful video message from Zoe Jordan, Professor Zoe Jordan. She is the executive director of Janabrex Institute, Adelaide. So I would like to play a video where she will also explain you the importance of this gLocal solution room. Can we have the video, please?
Sure, ma'am. So I'm going to share my screen. One second.
Check if it's audible. Hello and welcome to the JBI gLocal Solution Room. This is an event that's really designed to engage clinicians in getting evidence into practice. For those of you who perhaps aren't familiar with JBI, really are all about getting evidence into practice. So using the best evidence to get good outcomes and create a brighter future. Now, in recent years, I've been thinking a little bit about this idea of a flywheel effect. And the original concept came from a guy called Jim Collins. And what Jim talks about is the fact that organisational change never really happens in one fell swoop. There's no magic bullet, there's no solitary lucky break. It's about having consistent attention to something to drive organisational change happen. Really felt like this is what's a useful synergy with evidence-based healthcare. We recently published a paper about the idea of an evidence-based healthcare flywheel. And what we did when we redeveloped the model in 2019 was to add these, we call them overarching principles, but they're underneath, so they're kind of foundational principles around culture, communication, collaboration and capacity. And really we see these as the catalytic mechanisms that are required to successfully drive forward evidence-based healthcare initiatives in organisations. Now, we certainly recognise that evidence-based healthcare is relational, it's not transactional. And if we want to empower people to change their behaviour, then we really need to give some careful, thoughtful and consistent attention to navigating the relational matrices that organisations are run by. And we don't want to reinvent the wheel, we just want to get it moving. And so, as you can see by this graphic, we really feel like those 4 C's that we added several years ago to the model are the drivers of the momentum required to get evidence into practice. And I think that's a really important focus area that we probably haven't paid sufficient attention to. We don't talk about them very much, we don't articulate them, but we know that they are the things that require attention in order to see change happen successfully. So I'm really excited that this week we have 35 gLocal events happening. And you have to remember that this is an event that started as the local solution room here in Adelaide a few years ago, and really it was just an effort on our part to re-engage with stakeholders across South Australia. But when we shared the concept with our international collaboration, they were really excited by it. And so over the years, we've seen the number of events grow, and now we have an extraordinary number of events happening, which is just so exciting for us to see. We know that change can happen with just one pebble, with just one person. And so we're excited to see the ripple effect of change that came out of that one event. And we're excited to see the ripples that will now flow across the world. I hope that whatever event you're participating in this week, that you have a really enjoyable time, and I look forward to hearing more about them. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. So this was an overview provided by Professor Zoe Jordan, and this overview was very important as she was talking about the events. There are this gLocal Solution Room, Global Evidence and Local Decisions. This is being conducted all across the globe, and and uh, and we are also playing a part in dissemination for what is the importance of evidence-based healthcare. I really want to emphasize more and explain you more. I don't know. Explain you more about why do we need this concept where we are choosing and using global evidence, but we are making local decisions because evidence is needed to even uh, to be replicated as locally. But sometimes what we do, we just don't put a local flavor to the evidence which we gather globally, and we just replicate it as it is, which doesn't work because we all are different, our needs are different. We need to add in a vision which is local. We need to modify the evidence according to the needs. That is why we say that health is a state subject, because every state has a different need altogether, and that's what we are re-emphasizing here by organizing this seminar. So I would like to again, explain in detail, as explained by Professor Zoe Jordan, the evidence implementation wheel, which is designed by JBI, and it is a very interesting concept. It is a very interesting concept where we have different components leading to different things. So So first thing is the pebble, which you can see in between, in the center of the circle, is you can see highlighted things. Any approach, any study design has to be feasible, appropriate, meaningful, and effective. What is the meaning of this? Any research has to be feasible, it has to be appropriate, it has to be meaningful, and it has to be effective. That is what the inner circle is showing. And all these components, as I will run you through, are very important pillars for evidence generation and implementation. Yes. So let's come to the first component, that is global health. So under global health, we have three further divisions: sustainable impact, engagement, and knowledge need. Global health is defined as collaborative transnational research and action that takes places a priority of on improving health and achieving health equity for all people worldwide. That is what we that is what is meant by uh, global health. Not moving. Oh, okay. It seems there is a technical glitch. I'm trying to move the slides and they're not moving. In this technological world, we need to live with all these glitches. Okay, so the second pillar is evidence generation. What do we understand by evidence generation? So we need to start from somewhere. That somewhere is like we need to gather evidence. Um, so this part means evidence generation means that no, we do a legitimate means of knowledge generation. It recognizes that the results of well-designed research studies grounded in any methodological position or personal opinion and expertise are all deemed valid methods for generating evidence to inform policy and practice, research, expertise, and discourse. Now, next part is very important again, evidence synthesis. How do we synthesize this evidence which we are talking about? The evidence synthesis is the evaluation or analysis and collation of research evidence and opinion on specific topic to aid a decision making in healthcare. The three main components of this wedge are systematic review, evidence summaries, and guidelines. Finally, these are the highest level of evidence which anybody can use, they can refer, and they can replicate. Next comes, after evidence synthesis comes evidence transfer. Once we have generated the evidence, we need to transfer it to someone.
Conference hall is ना battery नहीं है.
Fundamental to the process of
I was
evidence-based
बुलाई.
decision making. Can you please mute your mic? Fundamental to the process of evidence-based decision making is the ability of those at the point of care to access synthesized research evidence. Evidence transfer is the corrective participatory process to advance access to and uptake of evidence in local contexts. It is a causal phenomena consisting of factors that enables, facilitate, and support evidence implementation that is more than just a single interaction. It incorporates active dissemination, systems integration, and education. This is very important. Once we have synthesized the evidence, the dissemination can take place through system integration when it gets incorporated in the education. Then finally comes evidence implementation. Evidence implementation is a purposeful, enabling set of activities designed to engage key stakeholders with research evidence to inform decision making and generate sustained improvement in the quality of healthcare delivery. Components of evidence implementation include a context analysis, the facilitation of practice, change, and evaluation of the process and outcome. Again, context analysis, facilitation of change, and evaluation of the process and outcome is very important. Once we implement the evidence, we need to see what all we have gathered, whether this outcome is valid, whether it is working in the particular clinical setting, or we need to modify, or we need to do a further research. So all these things we gather when we implement the evidence. So as we all are progressing in this webinar, now we have an overview what are we talking about by hosting a seminar on global evidence and local solutions. This is a powerful crucible where universal knowledge is localized to support improved outcomes across international borders and cultures. Think global, act local. An empowered community is a key to shaping a healthier future. So, this is just an example. As we are talking about global evidence and local solution, this is an example for which leads to this local solution room. As we have introduced a local journal on health technology and innovation, where we are promoting researchers globally to publish their research, and for wider dissemination. This is a local concept where the system is as best and as robust as any global system, as any global journal is, but we are promoting Indianized studies on innovations by Indian manufacturers, by Indian academicians, by Indian innovators, so that there isn't a delay in evidence generation, dissemination, and evidence transfer. As we all see, sometimes it takes a long time for evidence to get published internationally, where again there is a gap. So we try to bridge this gap by coming up with a Indianized indigenous journal. Similarly, we have other different interventions which we designed in our ecosystem. We did a evidence-based study on hyperbaric oxygen chambers, and we implemented that study. We developed in-house Indianized Make in India hyperbaric oxygen chamber, which is ready to deliver services to patients. Again, we were very successfully able to manufacture. First, we gathered the evidence, we gathered the knowledge for development of Indian indigenized medical devices. We are based in an ecosystem where we do lots of research in different domains, as I already explained. So we have during COVID times, we were able to translate all this evidence-based knowledge to on-ground action by delivering lots of oxygen concentrators to different states and different countries as well. Then we developed safe zone containers in-house, which played a very important role during COVID. We have developed in-house first, India's first magnet for 1.5 Tesla MRI. So these are some of the Indian evidence was global, but that was applied in a local context, and we were able to develop and contribute locally, making an impact globally. So with this, I would like to end my presentation with a closing remark, as we are talking about this gLocal solution room. There is no magic bullet for translating what is known from research into practice. To move evidence-based interventions into practice, several strategies may be needed. Additionally, what works in one context of care may not work in another setting, thereby suggesting that the context variables matter in implementation. That's what we all talked about. So setting the context of this gLocal solution room, I would like to end my presentation, and I would like to invite our next speaker to this wonderful online webinar. These are our partners, and with this, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kavita ma'am, for imparting that knowledge to us, throwing light on KIHT's contribution to EBP. Moreover, I would definitely also tell you all that, KIHT understands the importance of integrating and accommodating innovation in evidence-based practices. And through the examples that Dr. Kavita has talked about, like from safe zone containers to oxygen concentrators, KIHT's contribution in, translating innovation to evidence-based practice has been significant. With that, I would now open the chat and open the house for any questions from participants. You can please raise your hand so that we can unmute you and then you can ask the question.
I would also like to extend the opportunity to work with us in case anyone needs any support for publication in JBI. We would be happy to handhold, and we would be happy to take that research forward. And that's it. Yes, this is an open invitation to all the participants who are with us today.
So no questions from the participants. Can we move forward to the next session? Yes, so with that, we move on to the next session. So we have Professor Kirti Bhushan Pradhan, who has a PhD in health strategy and innovation and a postgraduate in health management from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, with a mid-career course on international public health management from CDC and Emory University, Atlanta, USA. Dr. Kirti has served various healthcare organizations and large collaborative projects in his 27 years plus years of career working in health and development sector. Professor Kirti Pradhan has been working as an adjunct professor health care management at Chitkara University Research and Innovation Network for more than 12 years now. So we'll be speaking on the role of evidence-based practice in healthcare innovation. Very good morning, sir. Am I audible? Yes, sir.
Yes.
You're audible, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. And good morning to all. So you had a nice presentation on global evidence and local solutions. And now we should get into what's the understanding between evidence-based practice and innovation. So should I share my PowerPoint?
Sure, sir, you can do it, sir. Or do you want me to share it for you?
I can do it. I can try in case I can't.
Sure, sir, sure.
Hello, everybody. So the topic today is the role of evidence-based practice in healthcare innovation. So let me take you through what does this mean? What is this evidence-based practice and what is this innovation in healthcare? So just to bring you all in the same page, let's understand the definition given by our experts and the literature, which says evidence-based practice is the conscientious, explicit, judicious, use of current best evidence in making decisions about the care of the individual patient. It means integrating individual clinical expertise with the best available external clinical evidence from systematic research. That's what evidence-based practice means in a nutshell. But how does it work? When the researchers do this, they follow a 5-step evidence-based practice method. They ask questions, they acquire knowledge, they appraise it, they apply it, and then audit it. Again, they go back to the similar cycle. So, which is talking about converting, sorry, I think I lost it, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Do you mind sharing it again?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Now it's okay, correct?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Yeah. So at step 1, it says converting information need into an answerable clinical question. Step 2, tracking down best evidence for answering the question. Step 3, critically appraise the evidence for validity, impact, and applicability. Step 4, integrating the evidence into clinical decision making. And step 5, evaluating steps 1 to 4 and seek ways to improve further. Because as we know, in healthcare, there is no fixed destination. Technology is changing, disease patterns are changing, disease profiles are changing, and hence evidence-based research need to continue. It's an ongoing process. The same thing I've just shown in a simpler format, which is talking about the same 5 steps for our memory: asking a question, finding the best evidence, evaluating the evidence, applying the information in combination with clinical experience and patient values, and again, evaluating the outcomes. This is an example of a particular situation which is talking about nutritional status with immune markers. So this is just a pictorial format of how it happens in action of the steps of a particular problem, which is talking about nutrition linked to immunity. I'll not get into this, but it's the same framework which has been applied into a issue or a problem. Like here the question, if you see the ask part, it says, does the consumption of 2 amla per day will enhance immunity? That's the question. Amla, I hope all of us know what is amla. And so that's how the whole process happens. And then we reach to some kind of evidence to apply into practice. Coming to innovation. So I spoke about evidence-based practice. Now, just in brief, talking to you about innovation in healthcare. Innovation is basically an English word, which is nothing new. It's not a new concept. We talk about innovation in our daily life also. But the term has made its way into healthcare as a concept, as a very, very strong concept, adopted from the fields of business, technology, marketing, defense, all that. Even in defense, they use a lot of innovative strategies. The dictionary definition of innovation is a new idea, new device, or a new method. And the act or process of introducing new ideas, new devices, or new methods, which is called innovation. Innovations in healthcare falls under broader umbrella of social innovations, which aims to solve social issues. Social innovation encourages new approaches to tackle issues of poverty, education, healthcare, and other human development problems by making system-level changes. The World Health Organization explains that health innovation improves the efficiency, effectiveness, quality, sustainability, safety, and affordability of healthcare. Without this, all these factors, we can't be cost effective, we can't be cost efficient in our service delivery. And we can't maintain quality without we become innovative. So hence, it is talking about, this definition also includes new or improved health policies, practices, systems, products, and technologies, services and delivery methods that result in improved healthcare. As we all know, healthcare is one of the leading sectors where the changes, developments, and new things are very, very rapid. And hence, innovation is a critical component in healthcare. Improvements in research, patient satisfaction, education, and access to care are additional factors to keep in mind in the era of health innovation. Simply put, the ultimate goal of health innovation is to improve our ability to meet public and personal healthcare needs and demands by optimizing the performance of the health system. In theory, innovations in healthcare should yield scalable solutions and improvements in health policies, systems, products, technologies, services, and delivery methods. In order to improve treatment, diagnosis, education, outreach, prevention, research quality, and delivery, and also the access to healthcare. So, as most of us, or rather all of us, I think, are from the healthcare sector, healthcare services sector, we must realize how important is the components of innovation in healthcare. To break down the concept of innovation in healthcare, we must ask, in healthcare, what is an innovation and what is not an innovation? To explain this, I have put these points, which is talking about problems in healthcare have resulted in solutions to problems of efficiency, effectiveness, quality, sustainability, safety, and affordability. Solutions that have resulted, Solutions that have resulted from problems in healthcare may be considered an innovation because they have solved a problem by introducing a new or significantly different approach, concept, idea, service, process, technology, or a product. But not all solutions are innovations, and not all innovations are solutions. Some solutions to problems in healthcare are merely developments or incremental growth within the field of healthcare. Let us try to understand what is this intersection or the relationship of evidence and innovation. The experts say one of the most challenging issues related to interesting evidence and innovation is the perception that they are fundamentally different. In fact, evidence and innovation are critical partners in a continuum of relationships, and their interaction is essential to accurate and sustainable outcomes. So, which means experts are talking about that innovation and evidence research or evidence analysis are not separate, but they are in the same continuum cycle. It is easy to differentiate evidence-based practice and innovation by definition, but evidence-based practice represents a more solid and factual foundation that is the product of deep study or research, incorporating all related elements derived from multiple sources, from disciplined research and experiential applications. That's about the evidence-based practice. Whereas innovation, on the other hand, demonstrates a more generative but just as rigorous process that leads to something new and changes our circumstances and lives. Both are dynamic processes with clear structures, stages, and disciplines that lead definitively to an impact or a product. Each relates to the other. And as evidence, it serves as the foundation for the other. Evidence is the base, and innovation takes from the base. So they're all highly interrelated. This is just a diagrammatic format of evidence and innovation dynamics, which is talking about how the external environmental forces also plays a role in terms of the evidence versus innovation. If you talk about innovation dynamics here and the unpredictable variables with the organizational strategy, and here it is talking about evidence-based practice. And so this is the intersection of evidence and innovation dynamics. Here in this slide, we're talking about, again, the researchers have done a huge research on why evidence and innovation. Much transformation and essential change is occurring in the healthcare delivery system, which all of us know. Indeed, the very foundation of delivery of healthcare is shifting from a volume foundation to a value drivers. All of us are looking at quality of services, quality of care, and that's the value drivers. Elements of new concept associated with triple M objectives are now forming the premise cornerstone of the delivery of healthcare services. These triple M objectives reflect the shifting change in the broader landscape of technology, clinical science, and are radically altering the context of framework of healthcare service delivery. This is the triple M objectives, which is talking about the three cornerstones of health or healthy nation. One is the quality, other is the price. And both these, when balanced well, gives the satisfaction. So healthcare need to be focused on quality, and quality comes from evidence. Also has to balance with affordability, which is pricing, and both together in a very, very balanced state leads to satisfaction, which is the top angle. Triple M objectives advantages are these products of the digital age now create the possibility for generating and managing big data in a way that provides a high level of usefulness and applicability never seen in the history of human experience, especially in the healthcare system. In fact, one of the major objectives of the patient protection and affordable care and the centers of Medicare and Medicare services in US in that healthcare transformation is using the triple M kind of objectives, which is again, the service satisfaction is derived from quality metrics and affordability. It requires the aggregation, generation, and utilization of large pools of data, which clearly enumerate scientific and practice evidence for the provision of scientific practice evidence and also the clinical services. Coming to what is evidence. Again, I'm coming back to that to explain. Evidence is simply the accumulation of facts and factors that provide conclusive insight into the legitimacy, accuracy, and viability supporting a particular process or action. And evidence-based practice serves as the foundation for all our actions for minimum standards of viability, appropriateness, and safety. And hence, evidence need to be in a very, very rigorous way with relevant data, and that can change the practice and behavior, be it in healthcare or in any other sector. Coming to the volume to value to practice. Until yesterday, we were more procedural, more protocol based, more positional, in the sense healthcare need to be provided in one building, one facility, and all that. More subordinated within the system and more task oriented, very, very routine. The volume of work was focused and mostly hospital based, and treatment or intervention was the focus. But we are moving ahead with all this evidence practice, innovation, and all that. We are talking about evidence-based clinical practice, evidence-based health systems, evidence-based healthcare. And we are more mobile. If you look at today's world, for any healthcare, we don't depend on only one consultation. We do second opinion, third opinion. People are mobile. They can move to any facility anywhere in the world. Whereas coming back to the single facility subordinated system, we are more partnership model. A lot of public-private partnerships are happening in healthcare. A lot of collaborative approaches are happening in healthcare. And all these are focused on impact. We are not focused on output or how much task or how many patients we treated. We are talking about the impact outcome of the patient's care. And from the volume of or volume-based focus to value-based focus. Instead of a hospital-based to a continuum, whether it is innovation, whether it is evidence-based practice, whether it is experiments-based practice and all that, we are moving towards a continuum focus. And today, the healthcare is health and patient-centered, not just the intervention-centered. Evidence and innovations are dynamic partners within the same continuum. Innovative practice leader is always grounded in the evidence and uses the evidence as the footing from which creative energies are generated to advance the change in the care experience. At the same time, evidence grounded innovator values and respects both the discipline and the rigor of the scientific process for its use and the translation of its products into practice. The relationship between evidence and innovation can be described as cybernetic. And what is the cybernetic? Cybernetic is the science of communication and control that looks at the controlled yet interactive and continuous relationship of elements within a system and their dynamic influence on each other. How the evidence and innovation kind of support each other and interact with each other in a very, very cohesive manner. So herein I have described innovation and evidence interrelationship, which is talking about evidence-based innovator understands the relationship among the firm foundation of principles, protocols, and standards supported with evidence. At the same time, the innovator also recognizes that the foundation represents only half the work of good practice, and the other half of the good practice is represented by faithful commitment to the movement from firm principles and foundations towards a new, emerging, and innovative practice that produce new technologies, models of care, and clinical activities that advance both the experience and the health of the patient. Furthermore, the evidence-based innovator acknowledges the overriding need for the commitment and engagement of the practice community and represent in their own attitudes and practices as a constant mobilization towards the creative, innovative, and the new as they grapple with the improvements in advancement of the practice. At this point, I would like to explain my audience that all of us do understand how drastically the healthcare technologies, healthcare innovations, healthcare developments are happening in the world. Take an example. Years back, in my generation when I was young, we had never seen or we had never imagined ever Philips, which was a music system company, a lighting company, will come into healthcare. Today, Philips is in a big way into healthcare, all healthcare technology innovations. You take General Electrics, that was into manufacturing airline engines. Today, G in a major way into healthcare. Siemens, Medtronic, Trivitron, a lot of technologies are rapidly improving besides the disruptive innovations which is happening by the individual innovators in healthcare to address the unmet need of the population. So all these will need a huge amount of evidence with innovation go side by side. And without that, I doubt if we have an optimum or a full potential healthcare services for our population. Innovation and evidence, which practitioners must know, is about the evidentiary dynamics, which provides the context that frees practitioners confusion, debate, and delineate new insights, practices, collaborations, and technologies, which is for patient care. Rather than constrained by evidence-based structures and processes, the evidence-grounded innovator represents both the commitment to the rigors of evidence and of the freedom to embrace the generativity and embedded in exploring opportunities for enhancement, enrichment, change, and invention for healthcare and for the population. Examples of evidence and innovation interrelationships. This is an example which is described related to patient falls. For example, evidence-based practice with regard to patient fall establishes a set of principles and processes that best demonstrate safe foundations for limiting the dangers and risks of patient fall in particular circumstances. These safety protocols establish a consistent floor for the practice of all professionals and generate a standard that influences everybody's action and serves as the foundation for the relationship with high-risk patients. Assuming that this standard is in place, the emergence of a new digital device or a software that helps the practitioners remotely monitor and follow these patients and alerts providers of the potential risks of falls or compromises in safety changes the landscape of practice. And that's the innovation. A digital device or a software which will remind the caretakers, the providers to avoid the fall, patient fall. This innovation therefore calls into question existing standards of protocols related to falls and patient safety and asks practitioners to create new framework or foundation that now includes the application and utility of new technology in establishing future safe fall prevention practices. Here, existing evidence-based practice standards serves as the floor, as an impetus, as a base for good practice, and the emerging innovation created challenge for the stretch away from the existing practices that caused the need to re-examine and recalibrate evidence-based foundations to reflect the application of emerging technologies. So this clearly gives an example of how evidence and innovation are together playing the role for healthcare. So this is again a diagrammatic presentation of the interface of evidence and innovation, which is talking about in healthcare, we always deal with social aspect, the political aspect, the technology aspect, and the economics aspect. It's not just one aspect, it's multiple complexities in which we play the role, for which there need to be knowledge creation and research and evidences. There has to be practice leading to clinical values and showing culture of care, and there is an impact outcome or a change in the healthcare or the health systems. And it's a very cyclical process and which needs to be continually developed, groomed, and focused on. It's just not one aspect, or it's not just a one-time effort. It has to be a multiple cycle. And here also it shows the gaps, which is the innovation gap. We have to keep creating, keep advancing, and keep changing through innovations wherever there is no evidence for an issue or a problem or a challenge in healthcare. Again, I'm trying to explain the evidence and innovation interface or the relationship, where again researchers have said the role of innovation in the evidence innovation continuum is evidenced by continuously systematic flexibility and personal adaptability that is apparent when evidence indicates that there is a need for change in practice. The trajectory of innovation is always an improvement in practice, a relevant new practice, and the continuous and growing positive impact on individual and population health. While the evidence-based methodology is the means to improve and advance practice, innovation is the driver that requires the organization to develop mechanisms and focus testing of evidence-grounded approaches, draw comparisons, build practices based on the best practices, and participate in a comprehensive, systematic, multi-site undertaking of comparative effectiveness analysis in order to establish strong population-associated best practices for healthcare. This is the another diagram which is talking about how innovation gap is there in current practice, and evidence-based practice is not addressing the entire continuum of care. Again, on the top, it is showing about the social, political, technological, and economics angle of healthcare, and for which huge amount of knowledge is created, research is done, but there is gap in innovation, and that's the precise kind of point where you'll see a lot of innovation is called for today in healthcare, be it rural healthcare, be it unmet healthcare, and any innovation awards today you see a lot of emphasis and a lot of new kind of projects are getting selected on the healthcare aspect because they want to fill this gap between evidence-based practice to knowledge creation and innovation, which goes hand in hand. Health systems innovation to succeed. The program to be successful, it must guide the leadership to assure that innovation is viable, effective, and sustainable. Not just having innovations, but those has to be viable, effective, and sustainable. And to make this happen, to make this viable, effective, and sustainable, the innovation need to be tied to a mission, to a long-term mission, not just one-time innovation. Innovation must advance the success of the organization and the individual. Innovation is best directed from the point of service. It has to come from the point of care. Innovation requires recognition. And innovation is a team activity, it's not a solo activity. No innovation is successful if it is controlled by an individual. Innovation is a disciplined process and must be structured into organizations' way of doing business. Failure is a fundamental element of all innovation that must be accepted, accommodated, and even celebrated. We can't say all the innovation are 100% successful. Innovation leaders must become comfortable with risk takers, brokers, contrarians, out of box thinkers, actors, and noise creators. A system of just in time communication, decision making, and movement accompanies the innovation process and requires an immediate response and quick turnaround from leaders, stakeholders, decision makers, policymakers, all. And there is an individual aspect, personal aspect, and cultural value aspect to all this. Healthcare is not provided in a sterile scientific cocoon. It's not a watertight compartment. Health service is a human dynamic. It comes with individual, family, community, tribal, cultural, and societal beliefs. All of us do understand that. The practices, behaviors that have an equally significant impact on the healthcare dynamics and also has impact on the clinical and scientific variables. These traditions are deeply embedded in faith, families, cultures, in a manner that often defines the fundamental characteristics of people in a way that influences who they are and what they do. Along with these characteristics, comes the personal attributes, tools, and processes they use for meeting the challenges, accommodations, and circumstances of their lives. All these devices are incorporated into health practices and influence personal and collective choices that ultimately influence individual and community health. Hence, the innovators and the practitioners need to keep an eye on this aspect of the healthcare innovation. Many cultural beliefs and practices demonstrate some level of evidence about the impact on quality of life and health, but some do not. Yet all practices have some relevance to evidence-based practice when they are incorporated into the full range of understanding regarding persons and populations. Hence, aggregating this information with more objective and data-driven sources of clinical evidence creates a composite frame of reference for the healthcare community that guides their partnership with the patient in a way that better informs both patient and the provider about what is potentially viable, sustainable in relation to health. Out of this evidence-based foundation in the partnership among the culture and care, personal practices, faith, belief, and healing processes emerge new and innovative paradigms. Innovation is meaningless unless there is change, there is improvement, there is development. The innovation trajectory includes series of stages that enumerate its various processes, all of which lead from idea to outcome. All innovations begin with mechanics, metrics, measures that provide the evidence that serves as the basis out of which any innovation generates. Evidence and innovation reflect two ends of the same continuum. This is the crux of the entire topic, this particular presentation, which is talking about they're so interrelated. It's not, they're not exclusive to each other. They're so continuing related. Grounded in solid metrics, research, culture, and practice, evidence provides the rationale and reason supporting the foundations that indicate appropriateness associated with potential trajectory towards innovation, represented in any transformation, change, or a new technology or a product. This is again the similar diagram, which is talking about the drivers and impact of innovation with evidence, with research in the context of social, political, technological, economical to health. Integration of evidence and innovation. Here we need to understand in order to be effective and add value, we need to ask these questions. Does the trajectory of the organization tightly reflect the demands and characteristics of the environment within which it exists? Is the culture and the character of the organization designed and supported in a way that encourages point of service ownership for evidence-based practice? And do the organization and its providers demonstrate a high-level degree of partnership with patients, users, populations, and the community in advancing the health for all? Are the values, beliefs, cultural characteristics of patients' communities incorporated into health relationships and the practices of providers and their partners? Is the health system faithful to its proven and validated evidence-based disciplines and processes? And can it demonstrate improvement in advancement of health as the product of its work? Is the health of the community improving? And can the health system demonstrate a direct relationship between its own evidence-based practices and innovation? These are the kind of questions we need to ask when we engage into evidence-based practice research and innovation in healthcare. This is again a framework which is talking about assess the readiness and culture for interprofessional innovation and evidence-based practice, create a structure for strengthening the structure and culture of innovation and evidence-based practice, develop innovation and evidence-based practice facilitators. We need a huge number of such facilitators, catalysts, which you don't have today. Increase in ideation rate and evidence-based practice implementation, and increase in healthcare quality and safety, which will lead to increase in healthcare quality and safety, and ultimately it will lead to improved patient outcomes and reduced healthcare costs. That's like a continuum framework of innovation and EBP culture. Here I have shown the similarities and differences of EBP, evidence-based practice, and innovation-based practice, just to kind of bring in some thoughts. If you look at step 0, step 1, step 2, and step 3, almost similar, which is talking about cultivating a spirit of inquiry within an evidence-based practice culture and environment, ask the burning clinical question in PICO format, search for and collect the most relevant best evidence, critically appraise the evidence. If you look at both innovation-based practice and evidence-based practice, has all these steps same, almost. Coming to step 4, in evidence-based practice, it is talking about integrate the best evidence with one's clinical expertise and patient or family preferences in making a practice decision or change. In innovation-based practice, it is talking about innovate a solution, which could be an intervention, product, technology, or process when high quality evidence is lacking. So which means where we jump into an innovation when there is lack of evidence. Look at the step 4. Step 5, it is talking about in evidence-based practice, evaluate outcomes of the practice decision or change based on evidence. In innovation-based practice, it is talking about conduct research to generate the efficacy or impact of the innovation on outcomes in order to increase its potential to scale and sustainability across the community, across the country, across the globe. Step 6, it is again similar, which is talking about whatever you find in step 5, you have to disseminate the outcomes to the whole globe and whole world, benefit the population. So key takeaway points in conclusion, evidence-based decision-making and practice are key to achieving the multiple impact in healthcare. Quadruple, it says. When evidence does not exist or is of weak quality, it is critical to innovate new solutions. Very, very important point. When evidence does not exist for any intervention we are trying to do on healthcare or is of weak quality, it is critical to innovate new solutions. When an innovation is created, it is important to generate evidence through research on its efficacy or impact so that it will be likely to be sustainable. Building cultures that promote evidence-based practice and innovation is necessary to make them the norm in the healthcare system. Very, very important points at the summary part. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for that remarkable session. You took us through the whole, I don't know, I've come across very new terminologies like the cybernetic interface of evidence integration, steps of evidence-based practice and innovation, and how evidence-based practice is more like a key for better, outcomes and innovations and everything. Indeed, very knowledgeable. Now, I have this question, since we are also talking about evidence-based practice, which is for the better patient outcomes. So, as stakeholders, patients and general public, so what are their roles in translating innovation to evidence-based practice? Where are they involved?
Actually, they're part and parcel of it, because without them, the providers, okay, the other stakeholders, without the patient, without the community, without the sociocultural aspect, the innovations are meaningless. So hence, they play a major role. You take the example of our COVID vaccine, okay? If people had not volunteered, could the COVID vaccine be produced so faster and used in the community, across the large population? So patients play a major role, actually, rather important role. The factories manufactured the vaccine, but people volunteered. That's a critical part. And a lot of evidence-based research and studies are tried as a pilot with the population, with a smaller population, with a smaller patient volume, and those are very, very critical.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I understand that part. So we have a question in the chat box. The question is, how can healthcare professionals incorporate evidence-based practice into their daily work to drive innovation? Since as a healthcare professional, they do, run in a line with certain protocols and set principles in their work area. So how do they actually incorporate these new evidence-based practices?
Okay, very, very interesting, actually. Today, what's happening in last 5 years, prior to that, nothing was there, actually. It was blank. The slate was blank. Today, if you look at innovations, it's happening across. And a lot of very interesting point. There are millions of healthcare workers in our country. Let's take India as an example. Millions of doctors, nurses, allied health professionals, pharmacists, variety of people in healthcare system. A lot of these innovations are happening by whom? By engineers. The healthcare technology innovations, healthcare solutions, healthcare digital solutions, all are done 98% in my analysis is by engineers. So everybody can play a role in innovation. Today, either the healthcare workers, the doctors, nurses, pharmacists, allied health professionals who are directly into healthcare, either due to lack of time, lack of that breathing space, probably they're not able to think innovative. And that's the reason why a lot of engineers are into play. But I would strongly urge each health worker has a role to innovate something new. I'll give an example. When I was taking a class of MBA students in healthcare management, we're talking about some public health issues and all that. She said, today thyroid is a major problem among rural village women's, okay? But unfortunately, it's unidentifiable, no test, okay? This non-medical student in the class thought of developing a concept of thyrometer, a portable, simple, like a thermometer, should be there in each and every village or community or wherever to test whether somebody has thyroid or no thyroid. These are very simple way to explain innovation need to be part and parcel of every human's life wherever there is a gap. And today, enormous amount of need is there in rural Indians. 70% of India is rural. Tell me the tests, the medical tests, the medical interventions, the medical services, what we, the urban people, take for granted, they cannot even dream. That's the gap we have. And a lot more things need to be innovated, need to be tried, need to be piloted in healthcare for 70%, 80% rural Indians to get the similar healthcare services as a basic human right. Today, that human rights is not there because of lack of disruptive innovation in healthcare.
So, Professor Kirti, thank you so much for this amazingly detailed presentation. It was such a delight to hear you. So,
Thank you, madam.
we,
Thank you.
as we discussed, so my question to you is, we have now we have lots of innovations, indigenous innovations. So, what is your opinion? Do we have organizations or do we have enough capability to help those innovations, to translate this innovation from ideation till commercialization, helping them gathering evidence, publishing that evidence, and taking that initiative on ground, doing again a further analysis and modify the innovation based on the analysis? What is your opinion as a country? Do we have all these capabilities?
Not yet, madam. Even this presentation, what I made, if you look at the documentation in this aspect, evidence-based practice versus innovation, you'll find only 5 or 6 literatures on this, and very strong, and all are foreign country researchers. Hardly any Indian researcher till date have delved into innovation and evidence-based practice interface, and which is very surprising. So we are just starting actually, we are beginning. And these innovations which I'm talking about, a handful of engineers, those of you who know or may not know, I don't know, go to Janitri. I think Janitri, again, an engineer, a VIT engineer, who is designing solutions to prevent maternal death. And we have millions of doctors in our country, millions of nurses, millions of pharmacists, allied health professionals, lakhs and lakhs of people are there. Not a single person could think of. And this gentleman, a young guy, engineer, you can Google a website called Janitri, Janitri. This,
And I would like to add here, Professor Kirti, sorry to interrupt.
yeah, yeah.
We helped Janitri, he came as an innovator and we helped the
Excellent,
Janitri
excellent, madam,
to
excellent,
do the analysis. We helped him to, we handholded him and we helped him to reach to a position where
excellent,
he is now.
excellent.
And to this adding to this is we have another doctor who is also working on the similar space to develop a different device to cater to this maternal mortality. So there are doctors, but as you said, we are leaving all our audience with this thought that this is the gap, and here they need to contribute and here they
Huge
need to
gap,
work to
huge
fill
unmet
this
gap,
gap.
which
Yes.
huge there and a lot of potential to work, but people need to have patience. I know this gentleman personally, Janitri. The kind of struggle he has gone through, it's was not easy.
Yes.
As a VIT
Yes.
passed out engineer, he could have taken a cozy job with a
Yes.
fat salary sitting in some company. But so
Yes.
people have to take that challenge. So we have a long way to go. And today, what the way I explained how Philips and GE were manufacturing tube lights, music systems, and aeroplane engines, they have been able to see the huge unmet potential, and they are innovating. But unfortunately, their innovations are still expensive, can't reach or it's not affordable by our rural population. It's meeting to some extent the urban population's health needs, but we need to do a lot of work on disruptive innovation, which
Yes.
means it has to be affordable, it has to be culturally acceptable, it has to be ethical, those kind of things.
Yes, very true. Very, very enlightening discussions. And in addition to this, we now within our country we have different ecosystems. We have capability to address this gap. But what we need to do is to collaborate, which we are not doing.
Yes,
We're not talking to each other.
absolutely.
We have a huge
Perfect.
capability. We need to join hands together so that we can translate that evidence. We can, strengthen each other by addressing our gaps, weaknesses, and strengths. By complementing each other. That's what.
Absolutely.
Which
That's
will
a great gap, madam. That's a great gap.
which will transform the face of the country globally.
Yes, yes, I fully agree. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we go to the next presentation. Thank you,
Thank you,
Professor
madam.
Keith.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot
Thank you
once
so
again.
much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time, insights. It was indeed a very knowledgeable session. Participants, if you have any questions, please post it in the chat box. We will share it with the speaker and get it answered. We are running in short of time, so we will move forward to the next session. We have here, we are indeed very privileged to have Dr. Mukesh Tripathi join us for this webinar. He will be speaking on the impact of innovation in, impact of innovation on patient outcomes. Dr. Mukesh Tripathi is a director of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Mangalgiri. He has served as medical superintendent, professor and HOD of Department of Anesthesiology, AIMS Rishikesh, and in the Department of Anesthesiology at SGPGI, Lucknow. He brings in rich experience in the field of academics, administration, and research with numerous research items and publications. We are very humbled and honored to have you here, sir. Over to you, sir.
Good morning.
Very
Good morning, everyone. Should I share my PPT now? I will try.
Yes, sir, please.
So, good morning, everyone. And what I have after two previous lectures, I think my job has become very simple, and because innovations and all those things have been already described. But I will just keep my things very simple and the innovation, what I understand many times when we say this word innovation, what comes to mind is that there is an innovation means developing some device or some engineered kind of a device is converted, and then but frankly speaking, innovation is a thought process, whatever new, and it is done need based, means if there is a need only then innovation comes, otherwise hardly there is a need, because whatever practices are going on we can continue with that and we are happy. So when there are some shortcomings observed, then only innovation evolves, and it is not simply related to only a development of devices. What I want to emphasize, it can be concept, it has been already amplified, I mean amply cleared by others, that it can be a new idea, there can be a next slide please. Okay, so just welcome from the, first slide was our campus. So greetings from the AIMS campus. And then just my lecture will be in these four heads, like understanding innovation, and then we'll talk about patient outcome, how innovation can intercorrelate, and the ultimate aim is a better patient outcome. So in particularly keeping in mind the health sector only. And then of course we'll try to discuss some innovations and their impact in the healthcare outcome. And then just the policy making can be like technologies, processes, approaches aimed at improving the delivery of healthcare system. All anything which is done out of box thinking, the correct word is, comes under the heading of innovation. Now the research and innovations are almost going side by side, and the ideas come in the minds of the doctors also during their experience. They find that this is the way a procedure to be done, or these are the symptoms complex based on which we develop a diagnosis and our line of treatment. Now a radical change has come up, that now for everything we want some kind of a gadget to show the patient and to convince that okay, you are suffering from the example was like thyroid thing, but hypothyroidism is not a very big deal. It is the physicians or the clinician health workers, if they are working based on the symptomatology, they can also diagnose hypothyroidism and start the treatment. So it's not that the if there is a gadget or if there is some algorithm based diagnostic point you are reaching, only then these diagnoses will be established. Now there is a great dilemma which is emerging, that the most of the time when biochemical, are we treating the patient symptoms or disease, or we are just treating the biochemical changes? That makes the situation really different, and that is why we are seeing a lot of these innovations are coming up from the engineering section, or the computers, or based on this AI, and all those things are coming up. But the clinical acumen of the person still remains the landmark, and it is very important for the treatment part of the healthcare. Now, the outcome, next slide. Okay. So, what is the patient outcome? What do we understand? The only in principle outcome means survival of the patient. And if you look at the healthcare system, what has been practiced in India has brought the life expectancy from almost like 30 years to 70 years. So that means our system has been working very well. It's not that our healthcare sector was not working well, because the major outcome or the only outcome in our language is survival. So if the survival is of the patient goes high, but for the sake of doing innovations and research, short-term outcome, these outcomes have been defined for particular study. Like patient outcomes may result the effect of healthcare interventions on the patient health status, well-being, and quality of life. Now, so we have added these things. Now, quality of life has been added because survival is the ultimate goal. But short-term targets have been defined, and they have been getting into play of defining the outcomes of the patients. Next. Now, if common types of patient outcomes, if we can see, then we can now classify into so many classes, like clinical outcome, functional outcome, quality life, adverse event. Patient satisfaction has also come up in a big way after consumer forum and all these rules, regulations. Then of course The economics has now, of late, the economics is becoming a challenge, because all the uh, innovations, if getting converted into some kind of technology, then the technology means the healthcare sector is moving towards commercialization. Commercialization means there is a profit making. Now, if there is a profit making, the cost becomes a major factor, because a lot of inputs have been done, and the technology has been developed, which is a cost. So the cost recovery becomes an important aspect, and so that makes a concept of health providing, which is economically viable, at the same time should be cost effective. So in a way, offering any freebies, or asking giving health care for free, basically is against the concept of the modern healthcare system which we have developed. That makes that is a paradox, and there is a conflict between the healthcare provider and the healthcare seekers. So that makes this is the most you can say the conflict aspect of the patient outcome, which is emerging in the society and amongst the hospitals and us. Next. Now, if we go by technologies, innovative healthcare, then the direct, basically, all the technologies which are getting developed are going away from the actual measurement. Means we are trying to make a non-invasive kind of things. Means not measuring the blood oxygen directly, but just trying to actuating by the non-invasive technologies. So these technologies will always have a uh, limitation. I will just give a example that the best arterial pressure monitoring, if you have put a sensor or catheter inside the artery, and then you are measuring, that gives the best value of the flow, or the flow of the under the which pressure the blood is flowing in the arteries or in the aorta. That is the main purpose. But we keep on approximating. So the non-invasive blood pressure monitoring, and nowadays we are trying to do from the mobile, we are trying to measure the blood pressure, which is all actuation. So it is not a reflection of correct value, and sometimes it may be misleading, because some of the factors which only the patient cannot understand. Only health who has read about it can tell about the things. And the whole purpose of the monitoring is to look into the function of that organ, whether that organ is getting all the nutrients, oxygen, and at a proper pressure or not. That is the whole thing. But we cannot do the tissue perfusion. We cannot do this. So we do measure the arterial blood pressure. And if arterial blood pressure is invasive, it cannot be done for everyone on all the time, because you have to breach and cannulate the artery. Now, that makes our approximation. So all the technological developments which are happening, come what may, like point of care, they have a limitation. They can only tell that, okay, this is a probability. Now you have to consult the doctor. So consulting a doctor is the next step. It has to be there. And then the multi-organ concept means survival of the patient depends upon what we have started understanding, that the body is a consortium of many systems like kidney, brain, heart, and the liver, and all that different organ systems which are important for some nutrient part, some nutrition carrying to the body, and then excretion of the waste product. So all these organs are functioning. So that kind of a concept has been evolved. So each system we are trying to support separately for the survival of the patients. So that is a multi-organ on a chip kind of a concepts are being floated that, okay, we'll take care of kidney, we'll take care of these things. But ultimately human has to, if the technology is non-mobile, then this technology makes the patient not accepting it because it will not improve the quality of life and his movement. So just for the sake of survival or keeping the cells live doesn't make sense in the better outcome. Next. So these are all the devices which have been developed, like electronic health records, telemedicine. Telemedicine is a good concept. I think it has proven its value during COVID times when nothing was moving. Then this was the only way of communication between the patient, and we started e-Paramarsh in our aims, and the response was very good. But I must share, the moment things were opened up, the patient started coming to the OPD and the hospital and stopped using telemedicine. So 1:1 contact between health and patient needs to be emphasized all the time. Remote monitoring system, remote operations, all this being tried, are being tried or developed in the process of development. So we are trying to evolve technology in the healthcare for a better outcome and provide healthcare at the doorstep. I think that is the final thing which is coming up, that we are going back to, rather than bringing the patient centrally to the hospital. Only when they are in need, only then they should come to the hospital. That kind of concepts are being now developed. Next. So impact of digital health technologies is to enhance access to the care, improve chronic disease management. Chronic disease, for say, for example, diabetes or hypertension, why the patient should come so frequently to the hospital and crowd the area and wait for a certain period. So these are the chronic diseases where they can be given some consultation, and if the technology is available at their doorstep, they can show their blood pressure readings and all those things, and consultation can be given remotely also. Medication management can also be ensured, whether the compliance is going or not. And then patient engagement and empowerment, it also gives. Early detection prevention is the main theme of the whole improvement of healthcare sector. Now, health education and behavioral changes ultimately have to be brought into the practices of the society. Now, here I would like to make a just give an example that it's in our religion or Sanatan Dharma, many of the practices were brought through the God practices. Now, the biggest, one of the very good example I find is that when the Jagannath Puri, the temple, when they take a bath, then there is a ritual, and then they develop a fever. Now, once God develops, Jagannath ji develops fever, he goes for not contacting anybody, and darshan is not allowed for next 15 days. And then he recovers from that, and then Jagannath Yatra starts. Now, this is a way of communicating that whenever you get a fever, you isolate yourself. Now, that kind of concept giving to the masses, this is the best exercise was done. And because God is behaving like this, it is very easy to accept to the society that we should practice this. Whenever there is a fever, we used to lie down and isolation, and for 15 days or 1 week, whenever we feel free. Now, that kinds of concepts have been evolved. So that is a practicing aspect of the healthcare innovation is very important, which should come, which we have to find out the ways and means how we can get into practice and bring it to the masses. For example, the hand washing was very common. I mean, everything, each time you are going to take a food or everything, the hand washing was must. And so these things have been brought by our healthcare system also. Next. Now, these are the advancements which are going on, and they have proven their utility in certain difficult situations like robotic and laparoscopic surgeries. in which hand cannot operate, and the minimum injury to the tissue is done. And at a difficult angles, these robotic hands are much more helpful to access and the tissues and differentiate and do the surgical part. Next. Drone is also coming up in a being emphasized that it can be used for community-based delivery of the medicines and all, bringing samples and all those kind of things. So community-based, these are the things which are coming up. And then, of course, enhanced visualization by the surgeons, like using microscope, 35 times more visual images are there. So with the very finer movements, you can pick the delineation between normal and abnormal tissue, or differentiating between artery, vein becomes very easy. So these are the things which have come up in a large manner in practices of surgical skills, and they have improved the outcomes. Next. Then, of course, virtual reality and augmented reality. These technologies are being used in various healthcare applications, including medical training, pain management, simulation-based training, but they have their own limitation, and simulation cannot be a replacement for really seeing a patient and talking to the patient, and the skill of communication skill, etc., cannot be taught through these simulations. Then the patient, then the touch part means, if for simulation you can give any pressure while touching or this, but when you are touching a patient, you have to really develop that how to touch a patient and not to give him pain, or give some bad signals. Even that kind of skills are required, which cannot be achieved by the simulations. They may show some algorithm, they may teach you some stepwise approaches, but certainly you have to see the patient. Next. So 3D printing is another area where a lot of work is going on, particularly these prostheses, and I will say these 3D printing organs, bioprinting, and then ear aids. Then, of course, in physiotherapy, a lot of the corrective sole and orthosis. And then, of course, for the cosmetic surgery purposes, how to create surgical models, and all those things are in practice. So these are the lot of innovations going on to improve the healthcare outcome. Next. Now, the new technologies like nanotechnology of drug delivery and all those things are also coming up. Next, you can. And in which targeted drug delivery and least harm to the normal organ is the whole thing. The nanotechnology has been talked a lot, but in practice, it has not yet taken shape. I will say because of maybe cost is too much, and then some of the biomarkers, biosensors, highly sensitive and specific biosensors for detecting, just like people are thinking about so many things like continuous glucose monitoring. All those kind of technologies are coming up for diagnostic purpose, but whether they will be useful at the doorstep or in the hands of patient, we need to look into it. And then, of course, theranostics is a new terminology which is coming up, where nanotechnology enables integration of diagnostic and therapeutic into a single system. So nanotechnology is useful for diagnostic purpose also, and then, of course, by drug delivery, etc., and then it becomes a treatment part also. So ultimately, the whole thing will change the concept, and output should be improving. So the next, now this artificial intelligence has taken the health world by storm, and we are very skeptical also about this, that how if the patient will come and will he start dictating that I have read this, my disease is like this, and so what will be our role then? So that makes a little conflicting part. But anyway, the lot of data is flowing all around the world, and that is being analyzed on a large number of computers, and then algorithms are being developed like blockchain network, health information exchange, and then they are helpful also. That like our Modi ji's program of ABDM is a very great thing. I think we are registering a lot of patients under that category and trying to enter their data. So when the patient goes to another place, then he gets the whatever treatment he has been given, whatever that knowledge is passed on from one hospital to another, from private to government setup also. So that is one of the, I will say, that best use of technology of computer science coming to the health is being implemented, but it requires a lot of effort on each and every step. Till now, from our hospital, we have been able to contribute almost 32,000 data only. So you can think about it. In India, where there is a population of 140 crore, how these things will, or to what extent it will succeed, remains to be seen. Next. Yeah, these are the various. Of course, when the lot of data is gathered, then it has to be analyzed, and then of course it is a help in research uh, for various cancer. Maybe conducting early disease detection is the best. I mean, that is the only area where a lot of work is required. And of course, financial management, error risk, patient safety, all those things require a lot of data analysis, and we can have a different development of computer based delivery system, and telemedicine is one of the very successful program. Next. I mean, these are some of the examples which we have gathered from here and there, but yeah, we need to see whether these are good for our setup of the patient or not. That needs to be evaluated, which will be done. And these are the commercially available products, multi-para monitors and all the analyzers, 5-part analyzer, auto analyzers, all are diagnostics. So many of the developments are going on in the early diagnosis. And of course, a lot of machines have also come, which are for therapeutics, also like in cancer, linear accelerators, etc. All those machines are being. Now, this is one game changer. This has been one of the game changer technology development, non-invasive coronary stents, which to open the blocked arteries. Next. Then, of course, this defibrillators, implantable devices in the body, and so they are definitely improving the patient outcomes. Most often, physicians implant these devices by doing a small surgery, small incisions, and these defibrillators are placed inside, or and then heart can be taken care by these things, particularly after complete heart block and all those kind of diseases. Then, of course, diagnostics is huge, and this is one area, probably the portable DNA sequencer. And this is a very, I mean, I came across in the literature, and I found very interesting that probably the DNA sequencing, whether it will be possible or not, but again, it will be an approximation only, that we have to realize. So it will have a limitation. It will not be foolproof. What current mapping of the this DNA mapping is going on. Next. Now this is one more device, I think, which is going to replace our stethoscope, the good old friend. This is a portable ultrasound machine, and it can work like echo also. So it will, and you can see the organs. on their mobile connected smartphone-based diagnostic tool. Let us see how. I mean, it is in use now. These devices are in use, but of course they have a cost. Then innovation of point of care diagnostics is another thing which is coming up, particularly in COVID times. These tests were developed that you will do the approximation test, then pregnancy test. All those things have come in the market. So these are some potential which give you some clue, and then you can confirm further whether it is correct or not. So these things are coming up in a nice manner, and they have been a good innovations, I'll say, which can make a change. Of course, similar examples like TROP-I test for heart attack, and then antigen rapid test for COVID. So what is the advantage of these things is that it gives you a faster and timely diagnosis, enhanced accessibility to healthcare, because these devices can be made available in shops and people can buy it, improve. So if there is early diagnosis, then early personalized medicine can be prescribed for them. And of course, it can reduce the healthcare cost, because the cost of for the patient, everything costs, because traveling to the hospital is also a cost. Staying, suppose he has to stay, wait for a report, etc., then that also costs. Then if he has to bring their relative, that also costs. So the cost is a big factor in centralized healthcare. And of course, point of care monitoring and surveillance is also very important for better outcome. Next, just what I will just emphasize what we do and how we do it. To ensure improved access of a safe quality medical device, the academic innovation and industrial production, I mean, this coordination between our thoughts and the development into our need-based, some kind of a device development is the best way to percolate your thoughts towards the society. Now, what I want to emphasize here, that during our learning and this practicing, we get a lot of ideas that this is better way of doing, that is better way of doing. But the worst part, I will say, or the most difficult part of the thing is that to convince another physician that whatever I am saying is good. That is the challenge, biggest challenge, and that is why all these evidence-based these analysis, and then turning into some kind of a digital form or some kind of signal showing, means evidence, the experience should be converted into a device that brings the engineering people together, has to be evolved for a transmission of your thoughts to the society for betterment and outcome. Of course, these are not the simple things, but ultimately it has to evolve into a big health program. And ABDM is, I really appreciate that these kind of programs and this vaccination and all the health these good practices, life care, good life practices are all doing in a big way to healthcare and public health service delivery and improve the patient outcome in long term. So the advantages of innovation in healthcare is digitization of data record, some remote monitoring, improved communication, and better treatment options, which we can individualize for the particular patient, because all patient may not get the compliance issues sometimes come, and then you have to ready-made a therapy for the particular problem of the particular patient. So that is now coming up in the next things. And of course, efficiency of easier workflow is the target. Factors affecting patient outcome. So these are all intellectual, emotional, spiritual. All these are very vague terms. And occupation. Then, but all will contribute in a patient outcome, because even if a patient survives with of no value to the society or the family, that survival needs to be also discussed at some or the other forum, or outcome of the patient. And so if he becomes a social burden, what should be the outcome of such patient? Next. So we are shifting from traditional medicine to precision medicine, and of course the precision medicine and more personalized diagnostics and therapeutics has to be implemented. Next. So a lot of areas are there in which there is a scope of innovation to improve the outcome of the patient. So innovation in the healthcare holds immense potential for improving patient outcomes from personalized medicine. Of course, the aim is to improve the patient outcome. So personalized medicine, telemedicine to precision surgery and all driven solutions, these advancements enable earlier diagnosis, more effective treatment, increased patient engagement, and overall better healthcare experience. By embracing and implementing these innovations, healthcare system can strive towards delivering higher quality, safer, and more efficient care to the patient. While innovation in healthcare plays a crucial role in driving improvement, it's essential to recognize and address broader health determinants to optimize patient outcomes. A comprehensive approach that combines innovative solutions, artificial intelligence, equitable access, coordinated care, patient engagement, and supportive policies is necessary for achieving the best possible outcomes for all patients. Okay, so in nutshell, I would like to say to everyone that what the toughest part of and doing any, I mean, you can think of a new domain of the or a treatment or diagnosis or some, but convincing to the even the medical fraternity for your concept is all these are the requirements of collecting evidence and the publishing it in the journal and sharing on the different forum is a constant process. And then of course the last is the convincing the patient that okay, but what, so patients are going for door to door, second consultation, second opinion, third opinion, all those. So he is not simply accepting what you say. So that is the most challenging part of research and publication. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. That was indeed a very knowledgeable session. You spoke about different technologies, techniques, advancements in the healthcare sector. You also spoke about the transition from, traditional medicine to the precision medicine. For us, it's something that we don't, openly speak about, or we don't much. I mean, we don't talk about it much. So I have this question right now. So we are talking about innovations in healthcare, how it impacts, patients and everything. But do we have a measure, or how do we measure and evaluate these impacts of, certain innovation in healthcare organizations in general?
See, I mean, in healthcare organizations, of course, we are depending on technologies. Right now, the problem has come up that the clinical acumen has gone down because of you can say the defensive medical practices. Defensive medical practices have come up in a large manner because of this lot of lawsuits and this against the doctors and the hospitals. So everyone has gone into defensive. So even if they know that this is a correct diagnosis, still they will go for investigation. So that's how the technology has to be developed in a hospital. It is just a outcome of a defensive medical practices. So you many times you do the investigation just for the sake of documentation that okay, this is what I'm saying is correct. Now, so that is the role of technology coming to the hospital. It has become mandatory it is becoming mandatory, because otherwise our the expertise as a physician, as a surgeon, or our experience, unless translated into some kind of evidence of CT, MRI, or something like that, which were supposed to help us, have now become mandatory and burden. And that is why the cost is increasing.
Right, sir. So there's another question in the chat box. So we know that when it comes to patients, when it comes to innovation and evidence-based practice, there's factor called ethical considerations. So how much are we giving importance, or are there, specific ethical considerations that we need to address, in order to implement a certain innovation or a certain advancement in healthcare setup?
See, ethical, I don't know what is ethical, what kind of area of ethical practices is a different things. Keeping the information of patient secret is another ethical aspect. Another ethical aspect is that you are unnecessarily inflicting some injury to get your investigation done. Suppose we know that there is a fever, and you want to do a blood test to confirm it. So this is undue. Whether it should be called ethical or unethical, it is debatable. So what is ethical? The first, let us define what is ethical.
I understand, sir. I understand. So I request all the participants to post any other questions. We will take it to the speaker and get it answered. Kavita ma'am, do you have anything to say?
Yes. Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful presentation. I really like the way you explained with a simple example by explaining about Lord Jagannath. So that's what we are talking today. That is a global evidence. People know that isolation will help, but you made it so simple by giving a local context to it, so that this is the mandate for this webinar, and you explained it so beautifully by giving this example. I really liked it, and thank you so much for that.
I will give another example also. I'll give another example also. Like राख जो चूल्हे में जलने के बाद, लकड़ी वगैरह जलने के बाद, there is a राख बनती है जो कोयले के. That राख is a pious, it is a sterile thing. How it has been percolated in the minds of the society, because our Lord Shiv उसको धारण करते हैं. That means if भगवान उसको अपने ऊपर कर सकते हैं, तो आप उससे हाथ भी धो सकते हैं. At times आप उससे ब्रश भी करते थे. There was a time. And आप utensils भी साफ करते थे. उसके लिए राख यूज की जाती थी. So it is a sterile product which is coming in domestic form. That is a phenomena, how beautifully it was explained.
Wow, very nice. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Huh. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for these examples.
Thank you, Dr. Mukesh Tripathi ji. Thank you for throwing light on the things that you've mentioned. Impact of innovation on patient outcomes. Thank you so much for your valuable time. Moving on to the next session, we have our beloved Chief, Dr. Jitendra Sharma, to speak on the current state of innovation in healthcare in India and a way forward. We have a lot to speak about our chief. He is the MD and founder CEO of Andhra Pradesh Metric Zone.
That's okay, Grishma. That's okay.
Yes.
No,
Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. No, firstly, my gratitude to Dr. Mukesh Tripathi ji. Not only that, we have been very happy to welcome him to AMTZ and Kalam Institute in the past, but I think the clinical knowledge powerhouse that gradually AIMS Mangalgiri is becoming under his leadership is very assuring for the whole region. And thank you, Dr. Tripathi, to you for being here and also being in this fraternity. The equation I'm trying to explain is how a clinical excellence institution like AIMS Mangalgiri can actually be complemented by the technological research in clinical engineering that institution like AMTZ is doing. Because when these two meet, and this is the future of innovation, a large amount of evidence is going to be required, which the world is not going to accept unless it is clinically validated and accepted, peer-reviewed, judged, criticized, and then accepted. Now, two examples that I'm going to give are, in fact, three examples, both of which are very relevant to clinical partner like AIMS and AMTZ, Kalam Institute. One example is currently we produce 1.5 Tesla MRI at AMTZ. An MRI which we used to import in the country for 6 crore, today we make at 2 crore 85 lakhs, 1.5 Tesla MRI with slew rate which is at par with the world's best brands. But this MRI requires, as all of us know, helium, and maintenance of MRI which is helium based is difficult. Therefore, we are working together with other clinical engineering partners to make world's first helium-free MRI, which will not only reduce the cost of operating and maintaining at MRI, but also reduce the size of an MRI like a sofa. The next gen MRI will be like a dental chair. You sit on it, it reclines on its own. The MRI is taken from the sides, not from the round detector, and you are out in less than 12 minutes. Same 1.5 Tesla MRI. But when we engineer this, the clinical evidence has to be judged from institutes of clinical excellence like AIMS. Second example, there are only 4 companies in the world that make pacemakers. The fourth one is now coming to AMTZ to make India's first pacemakers. And the reason why we are going to make it affordable is because we are working on a new generation of leads which are made of additive materials, which is very different from traditional material dual lead pacemaker available in the market. Now, these leads and the additive materials we will use to reduce the cost will be tested in our laboratories, tested in the ICMR animal house in our campus. But once again, for clinical evidence generation, we will need good quality, ethical, transparent, legally valid protocols, supported by experts like Professor Kirti Pradhan, supported by many of you in institutions of clinical excellence like AIMS. Now, if you look at this power of convergence, without this, it is not possible to deliver next generation innovations to India and to the world. And we are very fortunate to coexist as a family in this part of the world. We are also in very advanced discussions with production of detectors, which is required for CT scanners, brachytherapy systems, C-arms, including in clinical partnership with Homi J. Bhabha Cancer Hospital in Vizag. Now, something like this has never been attempted in India earlier. It has been attempted in Massachusetts, where Massachusetts General Hospital and MIT could work together in bringing out innovation. But in India, we don't have a precedence where clinical engineering and technological research can happen in not just in collaboration, but in partnership with institutes of clinical eminence, delivering internationally acclaimed and valid technological outcomes. The third example I'm going to give is something which is very traditional, something that we are working for ICMR as a health technology assessment agency in Kalam Institute. We all use our insulin syringes, which are syringes of a certain sizes and certain gauge, along with vials. Now, insulin pens have come in the market, but the cost effectiveness of pen versus syringe is still not been validated. So while both may be useful and clinically valid, is it cost effective for a rural patient to opt for insulin pens What are the implications of cold chain storage? What are the implications of producing pens? What is the cost differential on the patient and healthcare institution, just in a simple comparison of vials and syringes with pens? We are still finding solutions to these basic answers, whereas in UK, the National Institute of Clinical Excellence, as we speak, is doing health technology assessment of insulin pumps. Now, insulin pump is now a way advanced technology in the diabetology market. There are health systems which are debating whether they should migrate from pen to pump, and we are still finding solutions of vial syringe pair versus the cost effectiveness of pens. These answers are very important. So my only short submission to this very good gathering of experts is, right from creating a low cost helium free MRI, which can reduce the cost of MRI, to creating novel affordable leads for dual lead pacemaker, both being very advanced projects. And on the other side of the spectrum, we have very simple questions to answer. Should we advocate pens versus syringe and vial combination for insulin? Now, if you look at the breadth of this portfolio, helium-free MRI to an insulin pen, these answers are needed not just for patient welfare, but also for technological and clinical growth of the country and what we can add to the body of knowledge in the world. And that is why I think occasions like this, the JBI Solutions Room, where we create panels who would guide us on futuristic evidence-based methods, clinical protocols, and convergence of clinical knowledge with technological knowledge is important. So I'll only stop here by saying that we are very fortunate to coexist as a family. We should take forward this coexistence in creating knowledge pathways in technological convergence and superimposing the clinical excellence that AIIMS like institutions bring in, experts of JBI that bring in, with technological growth story we are writing for the country. And if we are able to do this, what India could provide in clinical and technological domain in times to come will score higher than what MITs and Harvards have provided to the world. With that, thank you very much for your time and presence and knowledge that you have given to this forum, and over to you, and thank you once again.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Any questions from the participants?
Okay,
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Tripathi.
Only my one submission is that in getting down in the cost, we should not get into the jugaad. That is the only submission I want to emphasize, that we at the end of the day, cost reduction should be by all other means, but for using a cheaper material, or just like the incidents which has happened in Bihar. So because jugaad can lead to that also, and that is the only I want to emphasize.
That's a very good point, because if jugaad is done compromising quality, then let alone the world, we will not be able to even serve the Indian community. And for us, all patients are same. So validation in laboratory, biocompatibility, biomaterial integration, trials, and clinical protocols, they have to be matched with fundamentals of quality in new technological intervention, and that is something non-compromisable. So you're very right.
Moving on to the next session, the topic, we have Ms. Sushmita Roy Chaudhary, head of the Department of the Regulatory Affairs Department at AMTZ. She will be presenting on the topic Challenges in Innovation Promotion. She is a veteran in her field with more than 20 years of experience. Sushmita ma'am, are you online? Am I audible? Sushmita ji?
Yes, yes, I'm very much here, and you
Yes.
are audible.
Yes, ma'am. So, Ms. Sushmita Rao Chaudhary, who has an eminent experience of 21 years in MNCs like Roche, Bevron, Baxter. She also has experience in drafting MVPI, which is a material vigilant guidelines for India, along with the industry and IPC. So, for the past 12 years, her contribution to BIS is significant, the Bureau of Indian Standards. In developing and review of product standards. She's also the head of the Department of Regulatory Affairs at AMTZ. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so very
Over to
much.
you. Over to you, ma'am.
Am I mute? Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Ma'am, you are audible.
Can you see
Just
my
a
screen?
request. Yes, ma'am, we can see your screen. Requesting all the participants to keep the chat box engaging. You can post your questions, raise your queries in the chat box, and we will raise it to the speaker. Or you can raise your hand once the session is done so that we can unmute you and then you can ask your questions to the speaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much for giving me an opportunity and talking on the challenges in innovations and promotions. Good morning, everyone, distinct speakers and the organization. I'm myself Shushmita, scientist heading regulatory affairs. As far as the innovation is concerned, India indeed has a long and illustrious history with numerous contributions to various fields, that too in healthcare. India has vast knowledge of medicinal plants and their healing properties. Herbal remedies derived from plants and herbs have been used for centuries to treat various ailments, promoting overall well being. In addition to it, physical practices like yoga also encompasses a philosophical system that addresses various aspects of human existence, including ethics, meditation, and self-realization. The philosophical teachings of yoga have had a profound impact on spirituality and well-being worldwide. With respect to our discussion today, to core medical technology aspect and our modern healthcare system is concerned, Susruta Samhita is an ancient Sanskrit text that contains detailed descriptions of various surgical procedures. It is considered one of the earliest and most comprehensive works on surgery and has greatly influenced the field of medical technology. Ancient Indian physicians made significant advancement in the field of plastic surgery with techniques for reconstructive surgery and rhinoplasty, nose reconstruction actually, being documented as early as the 6th century BC in Susruta Samhita. So these inventions and creations showcase the rich cultural, intellectual heritage of India, which has contributed significantly to the world's healthcare system, not only in India. I feel that my topics made easier by Dr. Tripathi, Dr. Sharma, and that's the only thing I'm going to talk today. Now coming back to my topic, challenges in the medtech innovators, like device designs. You can see here, we can see that various types of devices are here. They all are unique in nature. They all are unique in their intended use and unique in their composition or configuration. If it is a software, it will be configuration. They're very much unique. Not a single device will be similar to others. It's not expected because we are in innovation. Now, once we talk about the medtech industries and innovation, medtech innovators face several challenges throughout the process of developing and bringing their innovations to market. Our vision, India's vision, is to be the top 5 manufacturing global hubs of medical devices as like as pharmaceuticals. Therefore, innovations are going to be critical and to be given the top priorities. Once I talk about the critical, meaning these all are about challenges. MedTech innovators will be facing several challenges as we are growing with the innovations and bringing a new MedTech era in our society now. So there are few common challenges like regulatory and compliance, funding and capital, reimbursement and market access, clinical validation, evidence generation, IPR, manufacturing and supply chain, adoption and resistance to change, technology integration and interoperability, market competition, long development cycle as well as the infrastructure. I can talk about the first part. Everyone complains or on the challenges they are facing, even in today's date. That is the regulatory and compliance hurdles. Medical device regulation, fairly new for the manufacturers, especially for new entrants. Navigating and complying with complex and evolving regulatory requirement can be time consuming, costly, and major challenges for the innovators. Developing and bringing a medical device to market requires adherence to strict regulatory frameworks such as obtaining various necessary approvals and clearances from the various regulatory authorities. Example, if you are going to US, then you have to follow US FDA regulation. And if you are going for the CE marking, then you should follow the European Union regulations. So this is like, meaning if you are in India, you have to follow our CDSO guidelines, which your all the approvals will be granted by the DCGI, Drug Controller General of India. Now the innovators, they have no idea or they may have idea, but how to do it, how to handle that, what kind of challenges they will be facing or they are facing at present on day-to-day basis. Navigation on the portal. See, we all know that our Ministry of Health has given a very nice web portal for the CDSO, Central Drug Standard Control Organization, for our domestic manufacturer as well as foreign investors or importers. But how to do the navigation? Where to find out our my product specific information? So innovators, they keep on facing challenges while navigating the portal, or they look out for the folders for their kind of circulars, their kind of classifications of their products. Now they have also have a challenge to find out how many approved notified body we do have. Are those notified bodies competent enough to evaluate my product? Because I'm comprising two, three, five, nine component in my one single device. So are there any qualified auditors? These are the very common questions I do receive in my day-to-day basis from our innovators, startups, even the so-called manufacturers, because people are facing challenges. Another thing is that audit report. Our notified bodies are coming to the manufacturing site. They are issuing the audit report, but we do not get that. We don't get to see what are the non-conformities. What is the problem in my manufacturing site? How I can do the CAPA? They are submitting their audit report to the authorities. With respect to that, authority will be giving me the approval. Either yes, or they will be rejecting my application. No. Many a times, our innovators are facing challenges while applying for other tenders applications or other business applications because they are being asked to obtain FDA, US FDA certificate or C certificate from US or European countries. Why? Our domestic manufacturers are important says that our authority should give a certificate of conformity here itself in India. We need not to ask from other countries, because we have able competent authority just sitting here. So we are expecting all these things not as a challenge but as a solution to our work. Our guidelines talks about various kind of clinical evaluation, performance evaluation of our novel medical devices. Now, where are those clinical research organization? Who is going to do or conduct the evaluation or research on my medical devices? Ideally, I'm bringing out a novel medical devices, and my subjects are supposed to be the patients. Like Dr. Sharma was telling, or Dr. Tripathi was telling, that insulin pump. So I cannot simply bring out a normal patient. I will be looking out for a diabetic patient. These all are going to be a challenge, and I need a very specific, talent-oriented, knowledge-oriented, qualified clinical research organization to conduct my research on my medical devices. Our regulations also ask us to submit various kind of testing certificate. So therefore, we would require government recognized testing laboratories. Where are those lists? How many are them existing here? Where do I go? How do I know that those testing laboratories are already government recognized or not? What will be that symbol? What will be that sign that I should follow? Even to come out with a novel medical devices, I have to follow certain kind of standards. Again, I'm an innovator. I'm making a novel devices which is not existing in the world or in India. So how can I follow the standards? Because mine is novel. Therefore, I have to search either BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards, for the specific Indian standards, or for ISO, International Standard, or if I'm having some electrical component or electrical source in my devices, I have to follow IEC. If nothing is available, I have to make my own standards for my own innovation. That is a medical device. So therefore, what I have to do then, I have to source the technology-oriented technicians or the biomedical engineers or the experts, the designers who will be making a very compact medical devices with all science inbuilt, including the software, the component, that cannulas to supply, the needle, everything to be compacted in a single item. That is my novel product. So to do this, the innovator will be requiring continuous training, skill development, embracing with the new technology. Even to bring out a novel product, innovators may need to approach various authorities to obtain various number of approvals to put them on the market. Example, my product is a H. pylori bacteria IVD kit. The moment I'm talking about the H. pylori bacteria, so I expect to have a radiology aspect product, that is either urine C14 or urea C13, something like that. I have to obtain a specific radiology oriented approval in place, and I have to go back to ARB in India. Followed by, I have to go to our authority, main healthcare authority, that is DCGI office, CDSCO. So there will be lots of approval will be required, which innovator may feel that they are facing lots of challenges. For class A and B, an innovator has to go to state license. But for C and D, an innovator have to go to the central licensing authority. But for importation, an innovator need to go to only central licensing authorities. Where are these information available? Who is navigating my way? I need the experienced person to guide me or to mentor me the way out. These are the basically regulatory and compliance challenges an innovator may face or may be facing at the present situation. Second, I would talk about the funding and capital. Securing fund is a significant challenge for the medtech innovators. In fact, investors too need to be cautious about investing in early stage technologies due to the risks involved and the lengthy development timelines associated with medical devices in the area of R&D, manufacturing, preparing or evidence generation for the clinical evaluation report or performance evaluation report, scaling up the production, commercialization, all will be requiring funding and capital, and that can be a big challenge for the medtech innovators. Next, we can consider reimbursement and market access. Gaining access to the healthcare market can be challenging, particularly for the startups, innovators, and small companies. They need to establish, meaning innovators are required to establish partnership with the healthcare providers, distributors, payers. The innovators should convince their partners on reimbursement. The innovators also need to demonstrate the economic value, benefit, and cost effectiveness to the partners, meaning all the healthcare HCP, healthcare providers, distributors, and payers. Fourth point we can consider is clinical validation and evidence generation that Dr. Tripathi, Dr. Sharma all are talking about it. It is a very, you can say, very burning areas. Conducting rigorous clinical trials, studies, evaluation to validate the safety and efficacy of the innovators' innovations is a significant challenge. We need studies to validate the safety and efficacy of the novel devices. They are not generic, they are novel. So, therefore, there should be some studies which will be validating the safety and efficacy so the once the product is in the market, no patient, no user should get impacted badly by those devices. Then generating robust clinical data to demonstrate the safety and efficacy of the medical devices is crucial for regulatory approval and market acceptance. Conducting clinical trial, recruiting product-specific, therapeutic area-specific patient, and gathering sufficient evidence can be expensive, time-consuming, and complex, particularly for novel technology. So if I need to conduct a study on insulin pump that our chief was talking about, or the new novel product that Dr. Tripathi was talking about, was bringing that, implant defibrillator going inside the body of the patient. So I have to generate clinical evaluation data only on the patient, those patients. So recruiting my subject is a very big challenge. Managing it is not like pharmaceutical. It's very challenging because my site will be a hospital or a clinics or institutions, medical institutions, where all the subjects are to be recruited and they are not available. I cannot expect every day, every time a cardiac patient to implant a defibrillator. I have to wait for that. So it will be time consuming. Getting tested or conducting a clinical trial on insulin pump that Dr. Sharma, our chief, was talking about, to do that, I have to wait for a diabetic patient and have to reach out to their home to understand whether my product is properly working or not. I also need to recruit lots of good, knowledgeable technicians, biomedical engineers, medical specialists, diabetologists, so that pulling everyone together, I will be appearing to a concise data which will be accepted by our authority, regulatory authority. And once they are convinced, once the scientists will be convinced with our data, then only I can expect a grant of my approval to put this product out in the market for commercialization. Then IPR, intellectual property protection. Protecting intellectual property rights is very, very important, essential for medtech innovators to safeguard their innovations from being copied or imitated. Registering a patent for a medical product or service idea can be a complex and potentially expensive process. Patents provide legal protection for the invention, granting the inventor exclusive rights to their invention for a certain period of time. This protection will allow innovators to commercialize their ideas, the products, and prevent others from using or profiting from their inventions without any permission. Therefore, overall, navigating the patenting process can be challenging, but with proper preparation, professional guidance, and a clear understanding of the requirements, innovator can increase the chances of successfully protecting their innovation or the medical devices or the service area. Sixth point we can consider as manufacturing and supply chain considerations. Scaling of production, ensuring quality control, managing the supply chain, meeting regulatory requirements for manufacturing can pose challenges for the medtech innovators. Maintaining consistency, reliability, and cost efficiency in production processes are very, very crucial for successful commercialization. We all know in the manufacturing side of a medical device manufacturer, first thing starts with the QMS, ISO 13485. Therefore, I am talking about maintaining consistency, reliability. We should be consistent. I should not change frequently the design, product design, or the composition, or the material, because mine is a medical device. So I have to put lots of raw materials. More complicated will be my devices. It will be more complicated in terms of sourcing the raw materials and scientific technology. Of course, yes, depending upon my product, nature of my product, I have to have a very nice infrastructure. If I'm making a non-sterile PP kit, I may not be needing a sterilization unit, gamma sterilization or ethio sterilization. But if I am manufacturing a sterilized product, I have to look out for a sterilizing unit. This is called manufacturing challenges. What do I go then? Even nowadays, because I'm preparing or I'm innovating medical devices, so I need a mold. Availability of molds is very, very scarce in India. It's a 90% dependability on global importation. These kind of challenges our manufacturing, our innovators will be facing during manufacturing of their ideal product innovations. Then comes to the adoption and resistance to change. I got an innovative product, like our chief talked about the insulin pumps. It's a new aspect. Dr. Tripathi talked about the new defibrillator, which is going inside the body. It's a very new concept, medical technology. Those who are always in the comfortable in the traditional practices, you will get a resistance to the new medical technologies because they are not sure about the safety and efficacy of the novel devices. Therefore, convincing stakeholders, healthcare providers, clinicians, patients to adopt and use a new medical technology and its benefit can be a significant hurdle, and overcoming the resistance to change can be a challenge for the innovators. Resistance to change, skepticism about new technologies, and the need for extensive training and education can hinder the widespread adoption and market acceptance of innovative medical devices. Then comes to technology integration and interoperability, because we are going to offer our patient end user very novel product so that regular problem can be reduced and they will get access in terms of data, in terms of comfort, convenience. Nowadays, the patients wants that treatment at home, they will be not going to hospital or they don't get time, or because of the road condition patient won't be able to reach to the hospital, so bring implant of defibrillators in the place. Technology integration, so the defibrillator will be pumping, will give the CPR in the body. The moment it will get an alarm that the patient is having some problem while pumping the blood into heart. So the situation is very much complex. Therefore, integrating new medical technologies with the existing healthcare system and ensuring interoperability with other devices and data system can be a complex, can be a challenge to the innovators. Then the compatibility issues. I bring out something, some bigger size of defibrillators, which is not applicable to a small child. So compatibility issues. Maybe it will not be generating the data, how many times the attack happened to the patient body. What is the blood flow rate? So compatibility issues and lack of standardization can hinder the seamless integration of innovative solutions. Okay, I brought so far all these solutions. Now I'm in the market. So I need to face lots of competition. The innovator need to face lots of competition. MedTech innovators often face intense competition from established companies, already established companies, and other startups developing the similar technologies. Today I'm about to launch my product, and 2 minutes before someone else have done that. All are working on the similar technologies. So what I have to do? I have to differentiate my product. So differentiating their products, establishing a competitive advantage, and capturing market share can be challenging in a crowded marketplace. But the product is already available, or similar kind of product in cheaper price is already available. The medtech market is not confined to a single country or region. Innovators face competition from both local and global players. Understanding international markets, regulatory frameworks, cultural nuances, and specific market needs is very, very crucial, important for expanding into new territories for the innovators. Last but not the least, long development cycles and infrastructure. Though I have spoken a little bit in the manufacturing slides, that what kind of infrastructure our innovator will be looking at. Now, developing and commercializing medical technologies can be a time-consuming process. Why? Because the long development cycles combined with regulatory requirements, where I'll be meeting all my local regulatory requirements, 1, 2, 3, 4 checklist, submissions, etc. If I'm going to global or US, I have to follow that regulatory requirements. If I'm going to Europe, I have to follow that regulatory requirements. If my product is a complicated product, along with the radioactive nuclear medicine, I have to go to AURB in my country itself. Then, and market challenges can result in delays and increased cost for medtech innovators. This is definite that more country, more complicated new product will be taking much more development cycles in terms of time. The medical technology industry is highly competitive. Every alternate there will be new innovation with numerous players vying for market share. MedTech innovators often faces challenges in differentiating their products from competitors, addressing unmet needs. Today I'm having insulin pen. Yesterday I had a needle, injection needle, and then I got a pen, and now I'm planning for a pump to treat only one therapeutic area, that is sugar, that diabetes. So that is the unmet needs. We are trying to simplify the human beings' health and situation. Therefore, the innovators need to stay ahead of technological advancement. Product relevant infrastructure may be another reason of long development cycle. Each medical device is unique in nature with a specific intended use. Therefore, the requirements are expected to be unique for that specific medical device with respect to the infrastructure. Example, sterilization unit. If I am making my product sterile for multiple use, I have to look out for a sterilization unit. I have to go for a prototype unit. I also need to look for a validation unit. I should have a laboratories to check if my product is already electrical equipped or sourcing with electrical power. I should go for EMI EMC validation. Otherwise, I have to go for other ISO standards or IC standard validation. I need to go to the laboratory to get a certificate on the overall finished products. Then packaging unit, I simply cannot put it on the market. I have to go for a packaging. That package also should have regulatory approved labeling instruction where I am a ethical practitioner. My product should hold a specific license number. It has to be put on that product label, should be readable by the end user as well as the patients. So they can ask any questions. They are authorized and having right to ask any question with respect to the temperature, price, shelf life, intended use. They can ask any questions, end user and the patient. So all this information has to be given on the product label besides intended use, I feel. So these are the challenges our innovators faces in their day-to-day basis. Now I have spoken about challenges because that was my topic. There should be some solutions. What is the solution? Planning to avoid delays or to take out a product, putting on the market. There should be strong planning, like in terms of strategic planning, partnership planning. There should be all the partners ready. They should not back out once you are in development stage or R&D stage. You should have a regulatory expertise. What should be the requirement? Adequate funding and deep understanding of the healthcare industry. Is your industry require your product or not? That need to be worked out first. Is there any already similar product existing in the market or not? That also need to be worked out. So therefore, a deep understanding is required for that specific market, but that specific industry. These are the planning is very, very important for the innovators. And to do such kind of planning, to have a blueprint in place, what the innovator should do? They should have some action points on the fingertip, like collaborations with all the stakeholders. Find out who are your stakeholders. You know your product you are going to take out to put in the market. So who are supposed to be the proposed stakeholders? You have to collaborate with all the stakeholders well in advance. Engagement with the regulators. Talk to the regulators, tell them that you are coming up with this product so that you know what kind of approvals you need in place. If you need to place your product in various countries, also you will have to work out with those regulators or a regulatory expert. Clinical evidence generation for medical device is mandatory, must have. So since beginning, start recording how your product is behaving. A focus on clinical evidence generation is very, very important. So you have to find out who will be your clinical research organization. Who are the expert? Who will be your principal investigator? What should be your protocol design? One focus mentality is supposed to be there. Then the market identification and prepare yourself ready to go into the market. This is the solutions and action points our innovators can follow. And otherwise, there is one more solution is MTZ. At MTZ, we are well positioned to assist our partners in navigating a very complex regulatory environment and leveraging technological advancements by providing insights, strategic guidance that I discussed in the previous slide, execution of supports. We can help the businesses turn challenges into opportunities. The healthcare and life sciences sectors are indeed experiencing ongoing transformational changes. Rapid technological advancements such as artificial intelligence, telemedicine, genomics are reshaping the way healthcare is delivered and experienced. These changes bring both opportunities and challenges, requiring businesses to adapt and innovate. I have spoken all these challenges in my slides. The regulatory environment in healthcare is becoming increasingly complex with new laws. More complicated is your devices, regulator will be concerned about the safety and efficacy, and they will be bringing more laws to regulate your product to ensure that they are doing justice to the patients. They will bring new policies and compliance requirements emerging here. Navigating these regulations can be daunting for the businesses. Therefore, the innovators may be requiring a trusted advisor like AMTZ, which may be invaluable in ensuring compliance and understanding the implications for strategic decision making. In addition to regulatory challenges, there is growing expectation from both patients and providers for improved performance and outcomes. I don't want to go to the hospital, or I want to prick myself sitting in the airport. I want an implant, insulin implant machine within my body. That will be, I'll be setting what are the times I should get the release of medicines. So this is of course, yes, it's a convenient or expectation of the patients and the providers. They need improved performance. They need improved outcomes. Therefore, patients are asking more personalized and convenient healthcare experiences. If an implant on insulin releaser, or if an implant on defibrillator is putting into the patient's body, they will be in a convenient situation. They can travel anywhere. They can have less worry, and they will be getting a very personalized and convenient support, healthcare support, because the providers are already under pressure to deliver high quality care in a cost effective manner. Therefore, in that sitting at that situation, engages its focus on developing distinctive value propositions and capabilities is helping our partners to meet those evolving expectations and differentiate themselves in the marketplace. By staying committed to understanding the unique challenges faced by innovators, NGZ can tailor its service to meet specific needs. This customer-centric approach is very, very crucial in a rapidly changing marketplace where businesses must constantly adapt to stay competitive. Overall, MTZ's combination of deep industry knowledge, extensive experience, and commitment to its partners positions it as a trusted advisor, because our innovator needs an advisor. They need experts' hand while coming up with their innovations in the healthcare and life sciences sectors. By assisting our partners in navigating complexity and capturing opportunities, we, the enthusiasts, can contribute to the ongoing transformation and success of its clients in a very dynamic and evolving industry. So this is all from my side. Uh, it's really a wonderful experience. The speakers, our our chief, and the audience here are very, very, knowledgeable, and we really need support from each other. So this is what was from my side, and over to Kavita ji.
Thank you, Sushmita ji. Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. I think all the audience, all the people, participants who have joined, they must be very happy with the amazing presentation, discussions which we had. And I think all these points are food for them to think over, debate, and come up with solutions which are needed for us to progress. So thank you once again. Thank you so much. Over to you, Grishma.
The house is now open for questions. Before that, Sushmita ji, um, in the morning, Professor Kirti Bhushan Pradhan sir, he had spoken about how failure is that fundamental aspect of any innovation in healthcare. So we don't talk much about the fear of failure as a challenge for, translating innovation to evidence-based practice. So you have like years of experience in this field, and how do you think can a healthcare organization help in overcoming this fear of failure by embracing a risk-taking environment so that they can promote innovation in their setup?
So 1 second, Susmita ji. Grishma, would you like to announce our guest speaker for the day as well, which we need to tell? I think we should announce well in time for the audience so that they stay with us for a longer time.
So we do have a guest speaker today as well, Dr. Anuj Mobai. He's a honorary fellow, honorary faculty of Kalam Institute of Health Technology. So glad to have you with us, sir.
Thank you. I will let that question completed and then we
Yes,
can talk
yes,
about it.
that
So,
is what I was about to say.
All right, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Grishma, for asking this question. Indeed, it's a good question. I'm from regulatory side, and every day I'm coming across with lots of innovators and startups. I can feel their pain. I can feel their challenges. But at the same time, our job is to motivate them, and there should not be any fear of failure. First of all, we should have a confidence in the beginning. That's what I specifically mentioned, that strategy planning should be there. Why I should bring out a product? Why should I invest or my energy, time, funding on the product, which is will be there is 2% failure in the market. This failure aspect to be covered much well in advance before I start working. That should be my proposition. Secondly, if you talk about the failure, I will not talk about that nowadays innovators are not failing. They are facing challenges with respect to various aspects, and those aspects are also quite acceptable. More we are coming up with the critical medical devices, more the regulations are going to be critical for them. You take it as a challenge or you take it as a benefit. Why it will be benefit? Because I am the innovator. I have step 1 2 3 4 5 6, and today I'm a successful person in the market. My generic cannot come because I have already protected by IPR, and the manufacturer cannot copy my thing. So that will be my benefit because I have invested my time. I have generated lots of clinical evidences. So that is all I'm owning. So I cannot consider as a failure. I would say that I am giving quality to my medical device, which is already proven its efficacy and safety and stability. Again, in terms of cost effectiveness also, I would say that that also can be worked out. It is not that I invest in billions or millions and I will be proposed to sell my product in 1 rupee or 2 rupee in my market. This is also not expected. That's what I would propose. Innovators should work on their planning first, and I have also identified certain action points for them. They have to identify their stakeholders. They need to build up their blueprint, so that once they are putting a step in the area of innovation, there should be no looking back. And nowadays no one fails. They will be coming up with the next generation, a new version, but failure is no more there. Hardly you will get to hear that the innovator is being failed while bringing out a novel technology. Now investors also scientific blend of mind. They also trying their best to support the innovators. The newcomers are coming up, coming out people from IIT, IIM, all out across India. What I can experiencing, and investors are also trying to extend their hands and source funds, etc., in support of the innovators. Even a failure is not in my dictionary, so I will give a try and all efforts. So I don't feel that failure can be considered as a terminologies in the innovations.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you. Sorry, but there's one more question from the participant. So her question is, what is the procedure to go for clinical validation and evidence generation of an assistive technology product?
Okay, assistive technology products, if we're talking about India, they all have been classified. Now, again, innovations are also coming up. If your product is not classified, you have to talk to the regulators. So you need to engage with the regulators. So what are the do you need? I feel that my product is very simple and to be put as a risk class A. It's a low risk product. Um, I mean, in with respect to a stick, walking stick, that is also assistive product, or maybe a simple wheelchair, correct? But if you are putting some software in it or some other, because I'm holding a stick, you want to know where I'm going, my family members want to know that where is that person, and then the software to be embedded in that stick till time it will be engaged with me, and those data to be need to be transmitted to the data generator or whoever is monitoring me, maybe a hospital institution or my family person. So complexity is coming from here only. If a Parkinson oriented or Alzheimer oriented person is going out with a stick, how the family members is going to ensure that along with the stick even he is safe? So they are also putting certain kind of software to understand which is mapped with his body vitals and will be ensuring the transmission of the data of the patient's body vital to their family members and the institution. To understand more complicated you will be making your product, your clinical evidence need to be generated. Okay, so a regulator will be requesting or will be expecting more data on your product. What is your expectation? And you say that if it is your expectation, if the product is performing well as per your expectation or whatever you are printing on the label, correct? So this kind of aspect is required. Even under EU MDR, generating the clinical evidence is must have, mandatory for class A, B, C, D, whatever you say. In Europe, it is 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. But for class A also, low risk class product also, it is a duty of the manufacturer to generate clinical evidence. There is no compromisation, there is no lapse is allowed. It has to be. Either auditor is coming to a place looking at the documents or not, that is a different aspect. You have to create a clinical evaluation report, performance evaluation report ready in your manufacturing site, in your in your office, so that whenever your auditor will be coming, they will be getting a handy ready documents to go through. So therefore, the clinical evidence, generation of the clinical evidence is mandatory. It's not, I mean, irrespective of which risk class the product belongs to.
All right. I hope that answers your question, Khushbu. Are there any other questions? Requesting all the participants to stay. We have a bonus session as well. We have Dr. Anuj Mumbai. Thank you so much, Sushmita ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us and imparting knowledge on that topic.
Thank you so very much.
Over to you, Anuj,
Yes,
sir.
doctor. Yeah, even we got messages that people have liked a lot your session. It was full of information. This session serves a mandate why we are talking about gLocal Solution Room, global evidence and local discussions. This all the presentations and discussions which we had, they completely fulfill the mandate of today's webinar. It has been very satisfactory presentation from you as well, so thank you so much.
Thank you so very much.
Yes, thank you so much. So on behalf of Kalam Institute of Health Technology, it has been an honor and a privilege to host the GBI gLocal Solution Room online webinar. This remarkable event has not only brought together distinguished individuals, organizations, but it has also paved the way for insightful discussions. Today, we stand at the intersection of knowledge, collaboration, and a shared vision for the future of healthcare. The presence of our esteemed speakers, Dr. Mukesh Tripathi, Director and CEO, AIMS Mangalagiri, Dr. Kirti Bhushan, Professor Healthcare Management, Chitkara University, Mrs. Sushmita Roy Chaudhary, HOD Regulatory Affairs, Andhra Pradesh MedTech Zone, has elevated this webinar to unparalleled heights. The expertise, wisdom, and invaluable insights have ignited our minds and inspired us to think beyond traditional boundaries, pushing the boundaries of healthcare innovation. I would also like to extend my sincere gratitude to our Executive Director, Dr. Jitendra Sharma, for his vision, leadership, and unwavering support. Dr. Sharma's dedication to advancing healthcare technology and fostering collaboration has been instrumental in creating this platform for knowledge sharing and problem solving at the same time. I would also like to express my sincere appreciation to all the participants who have joined us from across the globe. Your active engagement, thoughts, questions, they were thought provoking and invaluable contributions have added depth to the diversity of our discussions, fostering an atmosphere of intellectual change and collaboration. Furthermore, I would also like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our IT team, whose expertise and diligence has enabled us to navigate through the complexities of this virtual platform. We faced many a times there was technical glitch many times during the webinar, but they helped us and facilitated us. So we were somehow managed to run the show amazingly. I would also like to, last but not the least, a special acknowledgement and thank you to goes to my team, whose meticulous planning and seamless coordination have been instrumental in ensuring the smooth execution of this online webinar. So I, Dr. Kavita Kachru, thank you everyone once again. As we move forward, let us continue to nurture the seed of collaboration, innovation, and excellence planted during this webinar. So thank you so much.